Humans can make mistakes. But the real Shekinah is none other than Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Here's a book, The Cosmic Shekinah, a historical study of the goddess of the Old Testament, and here it is, Kabbalah. That's where it shows up. In the Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism. God said to Israel, when you go into Canaan land, you destroy their idols, you destroy their Ashtaroths, you tear down their temples, you tear down everything. Don't learn their magic. Don't learn that if you can have fornication and the God will come out. Don't learn that. Well, they did. They not only learned it, they mingled it into the Old Testament. Their version or their ideas behind the Old Testament. You see, Kabbalah teaches that hidden in the Torah, are you getting this? The Kabbalah teaches that there's a secret hidden inside of the Torah. I wonder why all these Hebrew roots people are trying to get everybody back into the Torah. They're telling everybody there's a secret down in there. Okay? And here's the secret. And so I'll explain to you the secret. Here's the Shekinah glory ministries. I mean, you see it everywhere. Oh, we're the Shekinah glory of God. Don't fall for that. Don't. Even if it's done in ignorance. Don't amen it. Don't shout it. Don't get a tickle up your spine when someone talks about it. Don't do it. Fight it off. Because it's not God's holy masculine spirit. Let me show you. There's actually a picture. There is a picture of the Shekinah. Michelangelo drew this with pencil and crayons. It's lasted a long time. Here's God, and it's called, God giving life to Adam. Now, here's the problem with this. God didn't touch Adam's finger and give him life. He breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. That's not what you see here. And while everybody's been focused on God's right hand touching Adam's left hand, we zoom in, we never really paid attention to what God's left arm was doing. God's got his left arm around a naked, red-headed woman. That's Shekinah. Here's what it is. And the idea in the mystery cults, remember we have Christ the bridegroom and the bride. That's a beautiful thing. Okay, that's going to happen one of these days. But then in the opposite, we have Jehovah, Yahweh, they call him, and we have his girlfriend, his consort, the woman he's going to sleep with. We have her. And so in the Kabbalah, and the Kabbalah has what's called a tree of life, the Sephiroth. It's lines and it's got all these circles in it, and you look at it and go, what is that? That's because it's a mysticism. It's Jewish mysticism. But here's the thing. Let's see if I have graphics of it. I do. I have graphics. I'll show you the graphics, okay? The concept is that when God, Yahweh, mingles with Shekinah, Ashtaroth, Ishtar, Isis, Diana, when he mingles with her, when they had this thing going, glory's released. That's sick. That's the mystery religion. That's who Shekinah is. Be not deceived. Paul warned us not to go after another spirit, not to receive her. He warned us. Don't do it. In the Da Vinci Code, I mentioned that. This was the central theme of it. Leonardo da Vinci did. He did. Here's Jesus. And next to him at his right hand is Shekinah. Red-headed woman. They are polar opposites. Notice the colors. Notice they're leaning away from each other in opposite directions. Okay? That's what's in the Lord's Supper. Da Vinci was not he was a sodomite, that's who he was. Okay? But again, we see this everywhere. Shekinah warriors ministry, defending the presence of the glory of God on earth. And it's all related. A lot of it's related to Joel's army. Here's another one. It's Peter Wagner. Shekinah upcoming event. Shekinah. Notice this. Notice the words, experience Jesus. Look at it. Stop right here. Remember, this is, come now, let us reason together. Though your sins be as scarlet, they shall be white as snow. This is, oh, I need to have experience with God. And here's what you start seeing. I watched this thing one time. I can't remember. It was on one of these religious channels on satellite. And this woman was doing, in a church, this sacred dance. And she was all this scorned woman and lonely and felt bad. And all of a sudden this man comes up behind her, puts his hands and arms all around her, touching her, and all the experience that she has. And, oh, that's my God, and I'm intimate with Him. Watch out for the preacher or the book writer or the seminar or the song that's telling you, oh, you just need intimacy with God. That's not the words of the mouth of God. That's departing from the words. Intimacy. That's her spirit. Peter Wagner is part of this new apostolic reformation, the Joel's Army crowd and things like that. That's what he's a part of. They're bringing the experience, the feeling, the heroin high, so that when you get it, I got to have more of that, man. It leads to destruction every time. Now, here is the Sephiroth, the tree of life, of the Kabbalah. This is about turning men into gods. There are 10 circles here. There are 10 commandments and 10 toes on the beast and 10 horns on the beast, or 10 toes on the image. They all go hand in hand. But I want you to notice, I'm going to do a close-up here. On the right side, or excuse me, as you're looking at this graphic, on the left side you have Abba, you have the Father, which is the male, the masculine, Yahweh. Then on the other side you have the Great Mother. Wow, what interesting words. You have, and notice there on the left-hand side of that circle, Shekinah. See? She didn't come. That word did not come from the words. You departed from the words to accept her. Happens every time. In fact, the moment you decide to leave here, she's standing over here looking very nice, waiting for you, to embrace you. They give you feelings. We are so decrepit in our flesh, and we so chase after the lust of our flesh and the feelings of this flesh. This is why God said, when you worship me in spirit and in truth. Keep your stinking, nasty flesh out of it. But what happens is people go to the, oh, that music feels good. It's a setup. It's a trap. Now, let me show you this again. Okay? Let me show you this again. This is the Sephiroth, the tree of life. Here's the masculine. Okay, this is Yahweh, they call him, and this is Shekinah. Notice that they are drawn together, and they have come together to form a new man. That's the Antichrist. Okay, this is Osiris, and this is Isis, and this is their son Horus. That's what that represents. All right. In the Kabbalah, they have a concept called the white fire and the black fire. The black fire and the white fire. The black fire is the masculine. The black fire is, if you just think of a Hebrew scroll, and it's white paper, and it's black ink on white paper. And actually, the Kabbalah scribes have a rule that says, and when you draw one of the Hebrew letters in black, you must leave enough white space around it before you get to the next letter. In other words, we write in cursive and they all run together. The Hebrews said, "Oh no, you can't. That violates God. You can't do that. That won't make the Shekinah work together. There has to be white space from the paper around, sufficiently around every black letter. They call it white fire and black fire. So Yahweh, the man, is the black letter because it's logical. You can read it. You can reason it. You can discern it. You can know what it is. You can look and say, that's an aleph. See, that's this part over here. The white fire is the paper that it's written on. And so the paper doesn't have anything on it. It represents something beyond the black fire. Something that is beyond knowing, beyond understanding. It's out there, baby. That's what the white fire is. So you have the fusion of the black fire and the white. See, I'm telling you, I'm warning you. I'm warning you. Those of you who are being led into the Hebrew roots, they're getting you back into the Torah for a reason, because they believe that there's a secret embedded down in there that Moses, he just couldn't come out and tell it. It's secretly embedded down in there. And part of that is that the fusion of the two, sons of God, daughters of men, in order to create and bring about the Antichrist, the one who will have dominion. That's why he's got 10 horns. All right? So you look at this here. This is from a Kabbalah website or a Messianic Jewish congregation. They have a book, Black Fire on White Fire, an essay on Jewish hermeneutics. They're teaching you in this Messianic Jewish website Kabbalah, the Shekinah, another spirit. It's another gospel, and it's another Jesus. It's not the same one. And you can kind of understand it because they don't hardly ever say Jesus. It's Yeshua. It's always the Hebrew thing or whatever. Jim Staley actually has a church in this area, not too far from here. I never met him. I don't intend to. People they've called me, written me, and said, you need to sit down with him and reason together because you're brethren. No, we're not. We're not brethren. Because he has a different religion and a different spirit and a different gospel and a different Jesus than the one I have. We're not the same. And so I learned this. This is not gossip. This is not rumor. I don't care what food he has in his refrigerator. I don't care where he goes on vacation. I don't care how he talks to his wife or talks to his friends. I don't care. What I hear is the words that come out of his mouth. And if the words that come out of his mouth don't come from the unaltered Bible. Notice I said unaltered Bible. Because the modus operandi, and you're going to learn this when we start talking about the other gospel. The method of operation of getting you into another gospel that's not in this book is to alter this book to make it look like it teaches what they want you to know. But they can't just read the words of this authorized Bible and teach you their doctrine. They can't do it because this Bible is consistent from page to page, from testament to testament, that it teaches one gospel and one Spirit and one Jesus. Only one. If you leave the words of this book alone, and as Solomon said, depart not from them, you'll know who the real Jesus is. But these guys, they're masters at altering. They say, well, now the original Hebrew said it should have said this. It would have said this if it was originally written in Hebrew. It should say this. It really says this. But they just can't read to you the words that are on the page. I was watching Staley in his talk on the book of Romans. This caught my attention. Because when he said this, I had never heard of this before. I had to go research it. Didn't take long. And I'm telling you, the doctrine that he teaches does not come from this book. It comes from the Kabbalah. It comes from the religion that God told. He commanded the Jews, don't learn it. They learned it. They incorporated it into everything they did. This is why Paul called the Judaizers in the book of Galatians, who hath bewitched you?